Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really sorry that I cannot be with you this week. I regret that very much. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about my funded project, UDL Designed Authentic Assessment as Preventive Measure of Academic Misconduct. And before I go any further, I really would like to express my gratitude to my research assistant, Abby Clark, who did an absolutely fantastic and amazing job. And I don't think the project would have been as successful as it was without her work. Introduce you quickly to the project. So you saw the goal. It was the question if UDL, a designed authentic assessment in particular, can have an impact on preventing academic misconduct. The focus was on a small cohort of art students, and the reason why I picked art, so I'm a philosopher by training, and I realized when we were looking at authentic assessment in particular in certain training courses that it was quite often the non-art subjects that were used as examples and less the more traditionally writing-focused subjects. We used a mixed methods approach, combined quantitative surveys with qualitative focus groups and also individual interviews. And the way that worked then was that we have the survey providing the baseline for the quantitative data. We always cross-checked with the literature and then had a qualitative analysis to explore the deeper implications of survey findings and then followed up on the emerging themes. So this is just very quickly the demographics of the studies. You see the majority of students were white Irish, white European, and a small number then of different ethnicities. So it was a small number of participants overall. So we're always struggling to find students who participate. Really glad we did the survey, so that gave us the baseline. And then we had the smaller focus groups. The majority of students studied philosophy, so I assume that I advertised heavily in my philosophy class may have something to do with that. Majority of students, white Irish students. Important for us, over half of the students were first generation university. And this is very interesting because we do have some kind of evidence, I think, in the literature that often first-generation university students struggle more with certain academic requirements and so on. These students, of course, are quite self-motivated, so it might not come as a surprise that the majority claims they have never committed or have been involved in academic misconduct. Rarely 20%, sometimes 8.8%. Again, we always cross-check the responses with the literature to see, and they're actually not really outliers still. So this is important. This is what we're going to tackle. Just to show you here, we asked the students in the survey what did they perceive to be serious to not serious versions of academic misconduct. And here, quite clear, students have a good understanding. Completing an assignment for another student, paying someone, copying material was seen as very serious. I marked in blue collaborating on individual coursework because for me as a philosopher, this is very interesting because we do describe this as academic misconduct. Students didn't think it was that bad. And they didn't think it was that bad because they saw it as helping another student. And helping someone trumped the question of academic integrity. And to be honest, I find there's something quite nice about this, as they apply their moral, ethical principles. Reasons for committing academic misconduct, again, probably not big surprises here. Stress, mental health, time management, pressure, lack of motivation, and easy access to the online material. I marked in blue here low perceived risk of getting caught and no serious consequences of getting caught. It's a little bit low down the list, and I still think it is something that we need to pay attention to. What got really interesting for me is the emerging themes that came out following up with the focus groups, and confidence, self-efficacy, motivation and engagement, and meaningfulness of assignments emerged as major themes. I had two main insights halfway through when we looked at the outcome of the focus group. One was we were using the wrong language. And the second one, you think, me being a philosopher by training shouldn't have happened, but it did. We were asking the wrong questions. What do we mean by that? The wrong language. It really came across quite strongly that academic integrity was not meaningful for the majority of students. They only talked about it in relation to assignments. So that, that's grand. What about integrity? Surely that is meaningful. But that didn't come across as meaningful either when we question the students, specifically when we talk about integrity outside of university life. And I don't know if you can guess what actually is a meaningful term we should use in this context, and that is trust. You should be a person who can be trusted. And this was something the students can work with. I think what we learn from this, we need to change our language or broaden our language when we talk to students about academic integrity. The questions we didn't ask, and really you think afterwards, why didn't I think of this? Rather than asking why commit academic misconduct, why not also ask why not commit academic misconduct and strengthen that basis? So we have ethical principles, fear of being caught, but where assignment design comes in, I think, is self-efficacy, confidence, and meaningfulness. So this was then the route we went down, exploring what this means for students. It meant the confidence in completing academic tasks to a high standard, believing in yourself, believing that you can be successful, understanding expectations. Really, really important. And here we need to work on our communication and clarity. So it seems in general, the greater the confidence of the students in their own ability, the more that seemed to negate their need for cheating, also when it comes to using Gen AI tools. Meaningfulness, we see this in the literature actually a lot, that the lack of meaning leads to getting it done attitude, resignation towards unenjoyable assignments. And in general, students suggested the assignments should have a real-world applicability and not just fulfill a requirement for a grade. That's even true for the students really interested in a subject. They want to learn because it relates to their life and not just a grade. They were more engaged when the assessments related to future use, and again, this can be broad. And focusing on skill development really was a key term. The more we emphasize this over just the final grade, the more meaningful the assessments seem to become for them. This, I think, a lot of work actually has been done in this area. I'm going to spend a little bit time on some first conclusions and the next steps. So really what emerged for me was academic integrity as an adaptive problem. So you have on the left-hand side, again, the reasons for committing academic misconduct, and a lot of them can be addressed with assessment design. Not all of them, but a number of them, including scheduling deadlines and so on. In the middle, you have the reasons for not committing academic misconduct. And this is really where we started to focus on. And then on the right, where does UDL designed authentic assessment come in? So I marked and read the fear of being caught. That's not a great motivation. Ideally, we don't want to motivate people in this way. We should be realistic and say this actually does play a role. More important for us, maybe as educators and teachers, is the bottom one marked in blue. So if you look at stress, mental health, I think that can be kind of addressed indirectly through increasing self-confidence, self-efficacy, and meaningfulness, lack of motivation, and lack of accessibility. Smaller one, but still a significant part. I think also from the point of view of natural justice. So I think the bottom line here, this is where we can contribute with assessment design. However, the picture is bigger. So I do think we need to be realistic, so in order to not to be disappointed and the impact that we have, and also that there are other bigger issues that need to be tackled, and I think we need to do this as a sector, as a university as a whole. So on the left-hand side, here's where I think what we can do specifically as lecturers, as teachers in our classes, rethinking our assignments in terms of making them meaningful, and with the intention to increase self-efficacy and confidence. And that does not mean, I think, that you always win, that you always get amazing grades. But we need to have room for trying things out, or maybe being able to fail. And that's not the end of the world, because we learn by this too, right? So I think this needs to be addressed. Flexible staggered deadlines are important. And again, using meaningful language, I think that's true both for academic integrity, but also for assessment design. We need to watch it with flexibility and so on. Works really well for self-motivated students. We need to find ways of keeping the students who have a lot of external pressures, within enabling them to be successful as well. I think we have the problem of overassessment. We have unrealistic expectations about workloads. I'm hearing this a lot. Our students need to work full-time. If you're expecting them to work full-time and study full-time, this is really, really problematic, and that actually does lead to stress and mental health issues, because the students would be looking at a 60, 70, 80-hour work week. That would increase mental health issues for anyone. Then we have external structural pressure points, again, increased work hours, commuting, and so on, rising education costs. These are sectoral issues. I think these are things we need to lobby for, but we cannot address them with assessment design. The next steps, we're hands-on at the moment in philosophy. We are reevaluating our teaching methods using interactive recordings, but we do need to see how we can track student engagement to motivate the students who might be more easily falling off if we don't keep an eye on them. Thanks to this project, I can share my research more widely. So the reason why I can't be here is I've been invited to give a keynote address in London on transformative assessment. So thank you to QQ Ireland for this opportunity. Really, all this would not have been possible without your support and without enabling me to do this. So thank you very, very much. Very exciting. And then finally, I'm very happy for you to get in touch with me. If you have any comments, if you would like to cooperate, you have here my email address. But also, if you would like to share some thoughts and comments on the Padlet, here is the QR code, and I'd be delighted to hear from you. Thank you again for your attention and for having me.